Let's go ahead and get into questions. Let's go to Mark Long, and then we'll go over to Mike Duraco.
Hey, Doug. Happy Wednesday. Steel Tad stick. Listen, what is does it help going against a team you've already faced for Luton in terms of being able to watch it on tape and see these exact guys?
I don't. Probably. I mean, I would say probably. But this would be his first time. You know what I'm saying? Going out there. So that's what's a little bit different. You just don't know. How they're looking at it. I mean, there's not a lot of tape on Jake. They can try to light him up. You know what I'm saying, and get after him and get to him early. They may try to force him to, throw the football to see if he can beat him with that. I mean, so there's a lot of things that probably go into it, but you can go ahead and you can prepare yourself, Mark, for all these different scenarios, but you're really not going to know until you get out there on game day, as far as, and you get a couple series in to see, basically, the attack plan for whether it be Houston or whether Houston's looking at us that way too. So it's and that's what it can tend to limit you a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to put too much on someone's plate early, which goes against my quote, you know what I'm saying, earlier in the week. But Jake's been a guy. I know you guys are going to talk to him today. He he hasn't, he doesn't act like a rookie, meaning he's not a starry-eyed guy, just kind of came in and went to work, 6th-round draft pick, just working hard and really went about things, professionally. And, because of where we were in training camp, his reps were limited. I wouldn't say they were, over the top but they were good. He was doing what we asked. So, Monday came out and he was, he did a good job. And, the hardest thing I think for all of us, is when, especially that position, is, how is that player, going to be when really the bullets are flying, because it's a unique position, especially now this year without the preseason games, you know what I mean? Where you can kind of see them in the preseason games where things are going fast and you got a lot of bodies flying around you. Some guys are calm. You've seen them in the league. They've been successful. They're calm. They step up. They can deliver the football. They keep their eyes down the field. Some guys get hit and they get rattled. I mean, we've all seen that. So, that's really what the unknown is.
Thank you, Mark. Let's go over to D-Rock and then Hayes.
Hey, Doug, what's one or two things that you've seen from Luton on the field from the time he got here that is the most encouraging that he'll be able to handle, this league?
Well, I think the one thing is, you look early on of picking up the system. Systems now, are probably quite different than most college programs, on play calls and things of that nature. And there's verbiage, there's a lot on that plate, for those quarterbacks. So I guess the first thing I would say I was impressed with, outside of whatever physical ability, that we all can see, from his college film, is his ability to pick it up, his intellect. So that's the first thing you need. I mean, you got to be able to communicate well, go in there, call the play, and then get out there and execute. He's a big guy. He can move. He can see well, and he has a good arm. So I'm going to be like most of you guys. I mean, you get a lot of questions, but I feel good about putting him in there. I feel good about his potential. I just don't know how he's going to be in a game.
Do you have to guard against maybe falling in love with the big arm a little bit and saying, he better arm than Gardner, obviously, maybe we can go downfield more, maybe we can stretch it more, take more deep shots?
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to do that, with every quarterback, that we've had, or that I've had. But he can throw it, and I think that I think the way it operates and the way, someone goes through progressions or reads or, ball location, there's so much that goes into it. But like I always say, the most important thing at that position is you got to be able to throw the football.
Thanks, Doug.
Sure.
Appreciate it, D-Rock. Let's go over to Hayes and then to Gary Smits.
Hey, Doug, what is sort of the, not pressure, but how important is it for the receivers to be as precise as they possibly can when you do have a new quarterback in the lineup?
Well, the one good thing is that, throughout all, our practices in camp, we have, routes versus air. So Jake's throwing to him, quite a bit. Even though he's not taking the live reps against coverage, things of that nature. I think there's something there where you want to get used to someone, what they like to do. But, more importantly, if the route calls for you to be at a certain spot and that quarterback's throwing it to that spot, then it's on, both players to be able to get to that spot and throw it to that spot. I think some things where you see deep balls and guys that are running, and the touch of the quarterbacks, you got to kind of get a feel for the speed of those guys as they go. That's how I see it. So I don't, I think normally, unfortunately, I've been through this quite a bit. What you see is when you have, a quarterback coming in, especially a young quarterback, you see everyone else around them try to make sure he's successful and try to pick up their game a little bit as long as that quarterback is doing a good job. I think, if they feel like, that quarterback's not doing a good job, then you're not going to see that. You know what I'm saying? I think we've all seen examples of that throughout the years.
And then I wanted to ask you about Deshaun Watson. What makes it so difficult to stop him in terms of the things that he can do kind of outside the range of the play call?
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. If you're, put yourself on the defensive side and you put your hand in the dirt and you're going to rush the quarterback. You're giving everything you have, to try to get to that quarterback. And one little slip, you can't protect the gap. He can extend the play, and he's shown that he's strong enough to kind of shrug guys off too. Spin out of guys and do that. So he has the ability from a quarterback position to not only deliver the ball in the pocket, but to extend plays and get on the perimeter and run. Then I think when you go into the run game aspect of it, he's a guy that, can pull the football and run, so he's a threat, as a runner, what I'm saying, in a running game system. So, you're looking at someone that has a high level of confidence, has a really good arm, can throw it deep, short, has good accuracy, plus he can run. So, there's a lot of things that you have to be able to defend, to try to stop him.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Hayes, and the audio sounds great over there, so we appreciate it. Let's go over to Gary Smits and then Gene.
Hey, Doug, I understand you want to get James Robinson going no matter who's the quarterback and no matter what the circumstances are. But with a rookie in there, is it even more important for James to play a big role in this game and act as maybe kind of a security blanket for Jake?
Well, as the line goes, James goes. I think it's one of those things. So, if they're playing, if we're playing well up front and we're able to get some movement, I think that's fine with any of the backs. I think everyone has to, be able to help out in some way, some phase of what you do. I think you can't just rely on one person because, Gary, if you go in there and you say, all right, James is going to carry the load. Well, it comes out Wednesday, and now all of a sudden everything's to stop him and just force it on one position, the quarterback position or the receivers or the tight end. So, I think there's a lot of different things you have to do. But I think to answer your question correctly, is it a little bit more, are you prepared to manage it more, what I'm saying, to kind of get the quarterback back on track, to kind of, take some pressure off him in certain situations and some things? I would say yes. You have to be able to do that. How you do it, There's a lot of different ways, but obviously the easiest way, the one that we all think about, is just turn around and hand the ball off.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Thanks, Smetter. Let's go over to Gene and then John Shipley.
Hey, Doug. You've got a starting quarterback or former starting quarterback that's now sidelined. You've got a backup quarterback who presumably would become the starter, but he's still the backup. And you've got an inactive guy, previously an active guy, now the starter. What has Ben and Jay told you about how that whole dynamic has played out in the quarterback room? How they've handled it, whether there's any awkwardness whatsoever.
I didn't ask them. I handle it myself. You know what I'm saying, Gene? So, I talked to all the quarterbacks and I told them what my thought process was, and I just tell them the truth. And the one good thing about, all three of those guys is, there's probably disappointment, which is understandable. I recognize that. And, they recognize that, I have to, make a decision, and they respect that. So I think we have three guys that are really professional, and there's really no problems in that room. Gardner's not practicing. He's, working to get back to being healthy. Mike's ready to go, in case anything happens. And I just told him, the same thing I told you guys on Monday, why I made the decision with Jake.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Gene. No follow-up. I'm surprised. Let's go over to John Shipley.
I'll tell you, it's like those little comments by Dad all the time.
Yeah,
it's pretty. I would be annoyed as hell if you know what I'm saying. So I can understand why you guys don't like him.
All right.
John
Hey,
Shipley
Coach.
likes me. Appreciate it, John.
Oh, yeah, big captain. Hey, Coach. Laviska Shenault in the second half of games this year, he has 8 catches and 49 yards. How can you guys get him going for all 4 quarters instead of just starting out hot and then kind of him being kind of not making as much of an impact later in games?
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on how the game goes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's one of the things. Again, I think he's getting healthier and stronger, as the season goes on. I think he's someone that is, when you get the ball in his hands, we've seen him break tackles. He's a big, strong receiver. He's got strong hands. I'm happy with him, with the way he's going. We just got to, keep doing a good job and keeping him healthy and getting healthier. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times he's limited during the week, but, we've got a lot on his plate. There's a lot of things. He lines up in the backfield. He lines up at receiver, in a couple different positions. So, for a young guy, I think he's doing a nice job. And I think you can see, it's like everything else. It's a difficulty of, you see the talent in some of these young guys. And, the one thing about young guys is you got to kind of bring them along. You can't just go from A to Z. So I think those things are working, and these guys are getting better, even though the results aren't what we want.
And then quick follow-up, Coach, just how impressed have you been by his ability to pick things up? I know you said when you guys drafted him that what he would do on the field would depend on how much he picks things up. I mean, how impressed have you been by him in that regard?
Yeah, I think, it's hard, because it's you just think about it from a wide receiver standpoint. You come in and you have all these different formations, all these motions, and all the stuff going on before you even snap the football, and then once you snap the football, are you have to be press coverage? Is it man? Is it zone? Do I got a stair step? There's so many different things to do. So, there's a lot on a young guy's plate, coming in and playing wide receiver. And I think, we just keep pushing him, and he's got to push himself too. And he's done he's done a good job. But I think, like anything, I think he can do a better job, and we can do a better job for him. But there's a lot that goes on those guys' plates when they're playing different positions, especially when you start putting them in the backfield. That's a whole nother skill set, that, taking a handoff or, playing a wildcat, whatever it may be.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Sure.